I'm meteorologist Monica Woods tracking more changes in our forecast throughout northern and central California. Going over our regional headlines, we're still in a pretty moderate to major heat risk for the coast, the valley, and the foothills. In fact, for the valley, we're going to be near records. For the foothills, we're going to be well above average. Still dry and warm for the Sierra, but again, we're going to be tracking changes, especially midweek. Our Tuesday heat risk forecast, at least widespread moderate heat risk with some pockets, especially for the East Bay communities, the Delta, and parts of the northern San Joaquin Valley dipping into the major heat risk, all under this ridge of high pressure. So the fall heat certainly here. But again, we are going to be tracking some changes as this low starts to approach from the south up to the north, much like what we had last week. So for Tuesday, we've got that risk of thunderstorms mainly for the South Bay communities through the San Joaquin Valley, just more so off to the west side of the state. Heading into our significant fire potential for Wednesday, this is going to expand a little bit. So we're looking at dry and low humidity for our Wednesday forecast, with the best chance of rain kind of hugging still south of I-80 and through the San Joaquin Valley, parts of the central and southern Sierra. Anything north of that, we're going to have the potential for some thunderstorms, but not much wetting rain. Speaking of fire season, these are the latest numbers coming out from CAL FIRE, and you can see we're pretty close to where we were actually this time of year last year. So as far as the fires, we're at about 7,000 right now. Last year, we were closing in on about 6,000. We've seen slightly more acreage burned, but at least for our 5-year average, we're well below what we normally see. In fact, about half of it. Fire season, at least the peak of it, not quite done. Keep in mind, in California, fire season is year-round. It's just that we usually see the peak coming up in the fall season because we've gone the longest period of time without wetting rain. Now, in terms of what we may see here in the forecast, most of that is going to be moving its way right along the coast here, around the presence of where that low is predominantly going to be favoring the opportunity of showers and thunderstorms. That'll be on the west side of the state as well as through parts of the Central Valley. Heading into our Thursday, things are kind of starting to wind down as that low starts to move off to the east. In the meantime, we still have the heat. Highs are going to be close to 80 for the high country. We're in the 90s and near 100 through much of the foothills. So again, dry conditions continuing. As we head south of that region and through the central Sierra, highs in the 80s, near 100 through the Central Valley, including Merced and Fresno. Central Coast also feeling above normal conditions. We're in the 70s and lower 80s. Inland areas, we're close to 100. That's going to include places like Mendota as well as Hanford at 97 degrees, even 80s as we start to head towards the Bay Area. San Francisco up to 83 degrees, Petaluma 96, 101 for Fairfield as well as Rio Vista in the Delta. Those are the communities, by the way, that are in that major heat risk zone. Unseasonably warm conditions. Highs in the 60s, meantime, along the northwest coast. That certainly looks refreshing, right? Crescent City and Eureka, whereas Fort Bragg were about 70. Head inland through the north end of the valley from Willows up through Red Bluff, Redding, and Shasta Lake. We're in the 100s. Even for Chico, 99 degrees. It's going to be warm for the students there for our Tuesday. And then for the capital region, again, pretty close to what we're seeing throughout the entire Central Valley, upper 90s to near 100. For some areas, this is going to be kind of flirting with some records there for our Tuesday outlook. But just like that, we start tracking that low. Temperatures start to cool, but we will bring in that slight chance of thunderstorms by the time we get into our Wednesday evening forecast. Highs will drop into the 80s at that point. That's right about average, at least for the capital region. And then for Thursday, slight chance of a morning shower. Overall, though, things are going to start clearing out, and we'll stay right around the upper 80s to lower 90s right through the upcoming weekend, the first weekend of fall.